Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our Thursday weather update as we track the weather across the long weekend in New Zealand and what is happening across Australia and the South Pacific through until Tuesday of next week. So we've got the big storm system stuck here around New Zealand. It's starting to fall apart now, but there's still a lot of low pressure stretching all the way down across the country from those combined systems that we've seen over the past few days. And now the westerly with the downpours and the isolated thunderstorms is moving into the North Island's western side after being quite busy yesterday around the west coast and the Nelson Ranges and Taranaki. So sliding northwards, and then behind it, the colder southerly that Australia's just had heads towards New Zealand. And speaking of Australia, another southerly coming through here. I know the temperatures in Perth are down below where they've been recently. So let's take a look at the satellite. You can see those lumpy showers out here in the Tasman. These are the ones with isolated thunderstorms moving in towards the North Island. And we've got that low pressure zone down here also producing a fair amount of cloud for the South Island. Some cloud moving through Australia with a bit of wet weather, but mostly dry actually across a large portion of Aussie. And in the tropics, some downpours and thunderstorms near Vanuatu. Otherwise, it's looking pretty dry actually around most of the tropical islands. These are the thunderstorms as we were recording this on Thursday morning towards lunchtime. Downpours out at sea, caught up in that northwesterly flow coming in. And so they're isolated here and there. They bubble up and then they go. So it's a bit of a scattered random thing if you'll get one or not. And even some coming through the very windy Cook Strait at the moment with gales going through there for much of Thursday. This is how we look on Friday. So as we go in towards the Queen's Birthday weekend for New Zealand, it's not a great Friday if you're heading off early travelling. We've got strong winds moving through the top of the country with some heavy downpours, maybe an isolated thunderstorm still amongst that. And then it does clear up later on towards nighttime. In the South Island, much colder, that southerly coming through for you. And we've got a bit of wet weather really crossing over the North Island and clearing away from the South Island later on. But it all mostly clears as you go overnight because there's a big high out there in the Tasman which is heading towards New Zealand. Behind it, a little bit of wet weather for the interior, and then here comes the next sort of mild nor'wester that's about to turn cooler again for parts of Australia this weekend. So on Saturday, Australia's got another storm system, but it's well south of you now, but the windy conditions come up across Adelaide, Melbourne and Tasmania. There's a cold front ahead of it, but that's going to take a bit of time to reach New Zealand because we've now got a high pressure zone sitting over the country at lunchtime on Saturday. Maybe a couple of showers in the north here, just leftovers of that southerly flow. Otherwise, dry around the country. And in fact, the temperature's already starting to lift back up again on Saturday afternoon around the lower South Island. By Sunday, here comes the next system and it's looking pretty complicated and messy. The main storm is actually over here on Sunday around Tasmania, Victoria, Adelaide, South Australia, all getting that colder, wintry change. But in New Zealand, we've got 1, 2, 3 areas of low pressure all sort of lining up. So it is a bit complicated. This might still change a bit before we go into the weekend. But what it's saying is the northerly winds are building on Sunday and wet weather offshore is also starting to develop. Maybe a couple of showers lingering around the top of the North Island. Then we get to Queen's Birthday Monday, public holiday for New Zealand. We've got a few showers here with a mild northerly flow coming down across the country. Northerlies in many regions. So Queen's Birthday Monday looks pretty warm. But look at this next storm system, 980. Not as deep as the other ones. This is actually more of a traditional low pressure zone up this far around New Zealand and Aussie, but certainly another wintry blast for Tasmania and Victoria. What a rough set of weather it's been going on in the southeastern corner of Australia, while New Zealand's been fairly settled lately with the high pressure zones coming through. And our final map for Tuesday of next week shows the next big high rolling in south of Australia. That means that wintry southerly carries on, more snow up in the mountains and ranges, getting into, yes again, New South Wales. But on the New Zealand side, it's very similar to the setup we've got right now, where the wintry stuff's over in Australia and the warm, windy nor'westers are back in New Zealand. There may well be wind and rain warnings issued again by Met Service Tuesday next week. So the long weekend is not looking too bad for New Zealand. We'll have our next update again on Friday. We'll see you then.